I'll keep this one relatively short and sweet because I don't think there's too much to say about tonight's performance. The bottom line is it's another win, it's another clean sheet, and quite frankly, as expected, Manchester United are through to yet another quarter-final, this time the quarter-finals of the Europa League. I'd say it wasn't a particularly good game to watch. I know there were chances for both teams. I'm sure some neutrals found it relatively entertaining, but I thought the overall quality of the game was reasonably poor, to be honest. Both sides were very sloppy on the ball at times. It got a little bit scrappy, particularly in that first half. I think the referee had a relatively poor performance as well, was giving free kicks for far too many soft decisions for both teams. I'm not going to complain that he was being biased or anything. I just thought he was giving free kicks far too easily. And Pelistri's yellow card typified that in the first half. And like I say, there's not too much to really say about it. I'd say there were two standout performances from Manchester United players today. The first one being Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who once again is my man of the match of tonight. I think, given the fact that this is the last game we will play this month, with the exception of the Fulham game at the weekend, I think it's pretty wrapped up, in my opinion, that Aaron Wan-Bissaka should be winning March's Player of the Month for Manchester United. The only other good performer I thought today was David De Gea. I was actually really impressed with him, and I know I have my complaints about him quite often, but he did his job very, very well tonight. He was coming out a lot more readily than usual, like balls in behind. Perhaps it's because he knew Maguire was playing, but he seemed to be off his line a lot quicker than usual. He was coming for crosses. He was making himself big in one-on-one situations. He made his usual reflex saves like he does, and his distribution was pretty good tonight as well. So, good performance from David De Gea. Man of the match performance from Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Other than that, I mean, Casemiro is always good. I mean, I thought he was a bit isolated at times, particularly again in that first half. I'm not the biggest fan of this 4-1-4-1 system that he seems to employ, where Casemiro's just left isolated. Fred and Fernandes were just bombing far too far forward. We saw it at the weekend with Southampton, that him getting isolated eventually led to the red card, which I still have my grievances about. But again, that's sort of what happened in the first half. Casemiro's being left on his own, too many players to deal with, and when you play such a high line with a player like Harry Maguire in defence, that's how Real Betis were getting their chances in the first half. And it was another, I would say, worrying night for Harry Maguire. He was much better in the second half, but I think the whole team was much better in the second half. But particularly in that first half, if you're playing a high line, you just can't have Harry Maguire in the team. And Betis were very unlucky not to be 1 or 2 goals up in the first 20 minutes, because again, balls in behind Harry Maguire or just in the channels near Harry Maguire created chances that on another day a better team would have taken. But for some good saves from David De Gea and a couple of wasteful misses from Betis, it remained 0-0. Not really anything else to say about the first half. I don't think Pelistri made too much of an impact. He looked dangerous at times without really doing anything too well, but just the overall passing again was really, really poor. And I'm going to single Fred out tonight because honestly, I was close to throwing things at the TV, the amount of times Fred gave the ball away this evening. The amount of times he could have put Pelistri in down the wing, or Rashford in down the wing, or Weghorst through on goal, and he just passed it straight to a Real Betis player. I thought Fred was very poor. He's not the only culprit. Again, the usual suspects were still giving it away. Malacia was giving it away. Even Casemiro at times was giving it away. Bruno was giving it away. Some of Rashford's dribbles weren't coming off. Some of Pelistri's dribbles weren't coming off. And Weghorst's passing wasn't particularly great either. But just for me, I'm singling out Fred because he was the one that was getting on my nerves the most. Into the second half we go, and the first sort of tactical change that Ten Hag made was he reverted back from the 4-1-4-1 to more of a 4-2-3-1. Fred was getting forward a lot less. He was sitting closer to Casemiro. The overall team shape was just a little bit deeper. Helped Harry Maguire, of course, as well, but it's just that extra protection. Having the second man in with Casemiro, we were able to win the ball back much easier. A lot less chances for Real Betis because of that. And just the overall shape, the team shape just feels better when we've got the two players in midfield. And going forward, look, I'm a big advocate of only having one holding midfielder in your team, but you've got to know how to protect them. And I just think at the moment we're a little bit too gung-ho with the two centre mids. So I'm pleased that in the second half Ten Hag changed that. And then just a little bit wasteful again. We spoke about it against Southampton. We spoke about it against Betis last week. We're just missing too many chances. Weghorst had a chance in the first half that he missed, but obviously we're talking about the second half now, and two really good opportunities for Marcus Rashford. The first one, I believe, was given offside where he could have squared it and it was a simple tap-in. Then the one where he was completely clean through one-on-one. Again, could have passed it to Weghorst, but I don't blame him for shooting this time. But he absolutely skyrockets it into row Z. And then after missing those two chances, 30 seconds later, he picks the ball up 35 yards out and just absolutely thunders it into the bottom right-hand corner. An incredible strike. It just makes you laugh that that's the one that goes in. But look, from that point on, again, more chances were created. But before we talk about those chances, Ten Hag made a substitution which completely changed how we played in that second half after the goal. And that was the introduction of Marcel Sabitzer. And he is the third player that I will say had a good game in a Manchester United shirt this evening. I know he only came off the bench, but I've spoken about him enough times since we signed him. I'm so impressed with everything he does on the ball. He is essentially the Christian Eriksen. Like, we miss Eriksen now that he's injured, but Sabitzer does that job just as well. He gets on the ball. Some of his passing, his drive, his movement. He's a perfect Erik Ten Hag player, and I hope he starts the weekend against Fulham. With Casemiro injured, I expect it to be McTominay as the holder. I don't think Fred will be the holding midfielder. Maybe he plays Lindelof in midfield. We don't know. But whoever is in the holding midfield position, I will demand that Marcel Sabitzer is the player playing next to them because he is so influential on the passes forward. And that was the difference in that second half. Where Fred was giving it away, Sabitzer was creating chances. And that's where we could have got another couple more goals. But sadly, once again, chances were wasted. Weghorst missed another opportunity. Sancho, again, I know he was offside. How he didn't pass it to Elanga, I do not know. It was a simple pass. He's obviously trying to rebuild his confidence and he's tried to take the finish. But you've got to take that chance, offside or not. If you're not going to pass the ball to Elanga in that situation, you've got to score. So very disappointed with Sancho on that one. But like I say, after we went 1-0 up, the game was just more than over. And you can say what you want about, even me saying Sabitzer comes on and changes the game. But Betis still would have believed they had a chance while it was still 3 goals down and the goal score on the night was 0-0. But the moment we went 1-0 up, Betis just sort of gave up, essentially. They didn't really cause too many threats from that point onwards. But I think that's also testament to Manchester United for the way they defended, the way they protected the lead. And, yeah, all in all, a decent but not great performance. It's another win. It's another clean sheet. It's another quarter-final and another step towards another trophy. Speaking of quarter-finals, our next game is, of course, that FA Cup quarter-final on Sunday against Fulham, where I would be expecting a win. Once again, it'll be good to see some different players coming in again. It'll be good to see Varane coming back in. I think, Maguire, like I say, he played okay tonight, but I just don't think we can play with Harry Maguire in this Ten Hag system. I like Sabitzer. I hope he starts. And it'll be interesting to see who plays on the right-hand side. Like I say, I think Pulisic did all right without being amazing. I don't think Elanga did too much after he came on. It's unclear whether or not Antony is going to be available. So very interested to see who starts on the right-hand side against Fulham. But all in all, very happy that we are through. Not overly pleased with the performance, but happy to get the win tonight. And we move on to the next game. And we move on to tomorrow's draw, where I'll take anyone, to be honest. It's still a tough competition. There are some very good teams left in it. We will find out over the next couple of hours whether Arsenal will get through. It looks like we're going to see Juventus and Sevilla in the next round, as well as Feyenoord. So 3 very good teams already through to the quarterfinals along with us. And very intrigued to see who we get in that. And then we play Fulham on Sunday. And you'll get my reactions to that, same as always. Before we go, the usual things. Comment down below with your thoughts on tonight's game. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I'll see you tomorrow morning.